I hope some more participants are expected to join, and meanwhile we can go through today's topic, and I can give 1 or 2 minutes pause if some of you have any doubt about the session which we covered yesterday, and or maybe any other confusion. Then we can discuss, and otherwise I will go and upload today's presentation and start having discussion on this topic, which is very, very important to all of us, because every day we handle a lot of students, and the student, it is not just a simple person, but they are coming from different backgrounds with a lot of challenges, and so that we it is important for us to keep that in mind while handling those students, because they are at a very young age, and they may not have much maturity and other social issues. So with that, let us update the presentation, and then I will start. So I hope you are able to see the presentation, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So today's topic is broadly based on the student diversity and inclusive education. So I will be talking about how we can embrace the student diversity, and then we can foster the inclusive education into our curriculum. Okay. So just have a look into the picture, where on the left hand side we have basically a pictorial representation of student diversity. It is basically it's a very broad term, and you can see that students basically they are coming from different cultural backgrounds, different social backgrounds, different economic backgrounds. They have their different religion, society, culture, and there are very broad mix. And especially you are in a private organization, or might be in a national level institute, where it is more likely that you are going to have a wide mix of students. Maybe you will have students from Assam, from Gujarat, Kerala, or Jammu Kashmir, or many other place, along with your normal. Say I am from Uttar Pradesh, so you will have students from UP, but also you will have students from many parts of the country. So this basically broadly we can say that this is the diversity that we allow students from different parts of the country to attend our classes, our institutes and programs. Okay, and on the right hand side, this picture talks about the inclusivity. Inclusivity means every student in the class is important. Okay, so this is a very important essence of inclusive education, and and see this this poster. It mentions that education and not segregation. Okay, that means if we are able to properly impart inclusive education, then we are not doing any kind of segregation among the students based on any any perspective, any aspect. Okay, so that what are those aspects that we will slowly discuss, and as much as possible I'll try to give you examples, so that you can easily correlate these theories and these discussions and examples with your own life when you are handling students for both for undergraduate, then postgraduate, and PhD level, and also different diversities, diverse groups. Okay, so a few comments from some educationists are important to start with. So once this educationist Catherine Paul-Seifer, she told that without diversity life would be very, very boring. So you see that if we just a little bit go away from normal academics, we look at our normal life, we see that the diversity is very, very important for a happy life, for a meaningful life. Otherwise it becomes boring. For example, if you want to go to some places, you see that our country is so diverse, so rich, that you can go to the Himalayas, you can go to the sea, you can go to the jungles, forests. So those varieties in terms of geography, that is already there. Okay. And you will see that if you look at some kind of a forest, you will see that it's a mix of there are a lot of animals, reptiles, birds. It's a diverse group. It is not only a single group which is there. So if that is if we all are identical, then basically it becomes very boring. Okay, the same thing with our clothing, our friends, our food habit. Every day, if you have one particular food every day, then after 2-3 days you'll feel very boring, that I need some change, right? So that's also very, very important and relevant for the academic scenario, where we see that the diversity is basically a natural phenomena, and as a teacher we are going to accept this, and after that it will create some issues, and as a teacher and as a, you can say, as a sensible human being, we have to tackle those issues for the betterment of the student life. Okay. And there's another very respected educationist, Maya Angelou, and she told that in diversity there is beauty and there is strength. Okay. So if you say that without diversity life is boring, that means if there is diversity, then it's beautiful, right? That is pretty easy to understand. But the second part is that there is strength. That is very, very important. That if we agree that suppose take the example of our country, we have people from very, very varied cultures. Like Kerala, they have their own festival. In Assam, they have their BHU. In other parts, we have the Diwali, the Durga Puja, and many other. So, so now if we accept in our heart that okay, that is a natural thing, and in spite of all these things, we are Indians. Okay, we are bound by this patriotism. It's India is our motherland. So then basically we get the strength. Okay, that anybody who is, suppose anybody coming to me from the desert part of Rajasthan, then I don't feel some kind of awkwardness if we accept that he is coming with his own set of clothing, food preferences, and other languages and all these things, but he's after all an Indian, and then basically together we can be a strong force. Okay, so now if we want to sort of define what is student diversity, so broadly we can say that this is basically the differences among the students. Okay, so what are those differences? There are many aspects that we will discuss, and before starting to understand that different aspects of diversity, we perhaps we all should agree on a particular point, that whenever a student joins an institute or enters a classroom, he or she should feel that he is valuable, okay, and respected. For example, it's talking about among the peers, he will get that particular value. No one will basically ignore him or look down upon or make fun out of him based on his skin color or language he is speaking, or the region from which he belongs, and all those aspects. Okay, so as a teacher we should know that, and we should also appreciate and try to maintain that in the classroom, that there should not be a single student who will feel sort of that he is not valued in the classroom, and he's should not feel isolated. So as a teacher we should try to make sure that this environment of mutual cooperation and all these things are maintained. So we should promote the cultural awareness and sort of fellow feeling inside the classroom. Okay, now coming to the examples of different aspects of diversity. So let's consider a diverse group of animals, say pets, which we have in our houses, and majority of us we have or we like to have. Okay, so this could be a group of say for dogs, and cat, and bird, lizard, etc. And that those might be there in the house. So coming to this, this is a diverse group, right? Now, coming to this reason, or as I was telling that, or the aspect, okay, that the reason for diversity among students, there could be many reasons. One could be the age, then the language they speak. Okay, that is a very important issue. Because if you don't understand a person's language, then I cannot, communicate with him properly. Then the culture which he represents, that plays a very important role, because that affects our relationship. And if we can if we be curious to know about other person's culture, then basically we can also grow the relationship and gain knowledge about different cultures available in our country, or maybe other countries. Then the appearance, that is important, because how a person appear, that depends on his ethnicity and other things, but that has nothing to do with our relationship. Okay, then there are some kind of physical aspects like the disability that we'll discuss a little longer, and his race, ethnicity, and religion. Religion, it's also a very, very important aspect of diversity, and we should also have proper awareness. Okay, so that we can tackle those issues, which suppose some bad thing happens in the classroom. Say, for example, some student who is Christian, some student who is, say, Hindu or other religion, and they are involved in some kind of fight or all these things. So as a teacher, we should immediately intervene, and we should have a lot of discussions, and through discussions and dialogues only we can improve the level of understanding in the minds of the students, that this is just an aspect of diversity, and it is for our own benefit that we will accept that and make them a cohesive member of a cohesive group, and having mutual respect and fellow feeling. Now, one very important human, you can say that aspect or aspect of our nature, that is basically called as defined as prejudice. And prejudice is something which basically we all have some sort of prejudice over some particular person or other country or religion or language or culture. So what is this? Let's quickly understand this, that basically when someone thinks negatively about another person simply because they are different, this is called prejudice. Okay, so for example, if when we are in schools, then suppose you see that some teacher is telling in the class that girls are in general poor in mathematics. Okay, so suppose this is a statement. Now this is a derogatory statement, and that needs discussion. So there might be some particular student who was really poor in mathematics, but this is not the case, and we should not generalize this. So without proper understanding about a person, if we develop some kind of perception about the particular person, which might be wrong, or essentially it becomes wrong later on, if you see, this called a prejudice. And this kind of prejudice we all might have to some extent for different type of people. Suppose a person who is from other state comes to UP, and we know that, okay, he's from that state, that means these people do this, do that. So you develop some kind of prejudice. So basically what I'm doing, I am not basically talking to the person and developing an understanding about the particular person, his religion, his culture, and all these things, his language, but I am developing some kind of prejudice. So this is highly unscientific, and that basically doesn't allow me to develop appreciation about his culture. Okay, so we as a teacher, we should have as minimal prejudice as possible, so that we can really make a better group inside our classroom, and encourage students to also develop that quality, that without properly talking, without properly understanding, we should not develop any kind of prejudice over a particular person. Okay. Now there is a simple exercise which we can always perform to understand diversity. So let's say that I want to understand what is diversity or student diversity. Okay, so I should talk to a friend or a family member. Say, for example, I have a friend. Okay, now this pretty simple exercise I have to do. That is, list the things about both of you that are different. Okay, so for example, I want to play. I want to play on the tabla, and he plays guitar. This is some difference. Okay, and I like to have some particular food. He might like biryani, and I want to go to a mountain. He wants to see those forest or something else, sea, coast, etc. So every human being has certain speciality about his choice or liking, etc. So let us list those things which are different among myself and my friends. Now next exercise is list the things about both of you that are similar. So maybe we both like to have some fruit. We both like to enjoy say music by Sonu Nigam. Say there are many other things which could be listed, which are basically similar to both of us. Okay, now the point is, even if there are a few differences, you also share a lot of common attributes. Okay, so that is the first thing which we will appreciate, that okay, this friend of mine has these differences, but also there are a lot of similarities between myself and him. Okay, now the most important job in this assignment is that your differences and similarities should be celebrated. Should be celebrated means I should talk about it openly, and I should accept in my mind that he is my friend, and irrespective of he likes to play on the guitar or something else, or sings, that is not going to impact our relationship, our friendship. Okay, so suppose this thing you try to promote in the classroom, then it will, what important thing will happen is that every student will sort of try to understand from that particular angle that this few there are few students in the class who are coming from remote area. Their accent might be a little different, but still they are my classmate. They can be my friends, and we should jointly work towards our sports, our assignment, teamwork, and tutorial classes and normal classes, etc. So those things will be important, and those small differences will be neglected. Okay, and then definitive bond will be established between the different members into of a single classroom. Okay, so this the above exercise or the lesson teaches us that diversity is good. To think about your own understanding on diversity, about your own life, and about the world. For example, now you see that for the purpose of job or say higher studies, many people are there who basically have to travel a lot and come out of their own state, and they basically to become successful, to solve his own problems. Sometimes he has to learn a different language or adapt to different culture. So those things basically basically he learn, first of all, he learns how to appreciate diversity. And now if you look back, you see that okay, I was born in a particular state and my mother tongue was this language, but now I can comfortably mingle with people from another part of the country. Then I can talk in other languages like Hindi, and maybe you can learn some other language like Marathi or Gujarati or whatever. And obviously for the purpose of job and all, it's we have to learn English. So you become a broader personality. Okay, so you see that even if you suppose now if you go outside your country to do some higher studies or present your research in a conference, then you will see that there are people with very very far away. Means their habits, their culture and language are much different than yours, and still you are able to mingle with them because there are a lot of professional similarity, that you value time, you are polite while talking to somebody in the conference who might be from Japan or might be from Africa. That doesn't matter. Okay, because they all are they all are basically coming to this conference with the same goal, that to discuss your own research, what own outcome, and after that basically learn many things from the research of other colleagues. Okay, so this we start appreciating that diversity is indeed a good thing. Okay, now that so it is not only a simple exercise, or you can say assignment. It will be easily explained to the students and make them realize that diversity is a natural phenomena, and we should embrace it, we should appreciate it, and basically it makes a strong bond between the classroom classmates. So the easy way to inculcate those qualities into our students is to have some kind of exercises like the let us be creative in the classroom. So you see that this figure or this picture shows that there's a globe, and some student is explaining different say different rivers, countries, then seas to other students, and they are getting a bird's eye view about the globe, that oh my god, the world is so big, and this that. Okay, so this we can also make a story about diversity and tell it in the class. That is very, very important, and that will be really beneficial for the students, because when you tell a story, it is retained in the brain of the student for a long time. Okay, so as a teacher, we should always support our theories with as much as possible examples, so that students have a very clear understanding about those topics or those theories which we are discussing in the classroom. So we can present as many stories as possible, then incidents, quotes, maybe from your own life or something like that, as in the classroom. So there is a state of mind that is called the lack of understanding. So initially, when they joined, they didn't have much better idea about the diversity. But when we have this kind of deliberations, some kind of exercises, and creative lessons in the class, then they basically develop the understanding that this is diversity, and student diversity is basically natural phenomena, and that we should appreciate this. It helps us to be humble, to develop friendship, to get to know about other student, their language, their culture, from where they come, they represent, and all these things, and basically they develop some kind of understanding about diversity, and that makes them a better citizen later on. So, as I told you that there are different aspects, or you can say the dimensions of diversity. So one important dimension is basically the age. Okay, that means suppose there is a student who is having who is comparatively large, means senior, say by 2 to 3 years as compared to the normal classroom age. So this is called ageism. Then what might happen that other students can make fun out of him, that he's suppose in a class in a classroom, the students are having about 15 to 14, they are 14 years old, but there is a student who is suppose 18 years old, and there is some personal problem because of that he had to discontinue his studies, and then later on he joined the class again, and he's now age-wise senior to majority of the classmates. So then the others might develop that prejudice that okay, they can make fun out of this guy. But as a teacher, we should understand that this is a dimension of diversity called ageism, and we should explain those kind of situation in the classroom, so that others can comfortably mingle with this student and develop friendship and understand this aspect of diversity. So the student who is a little bit senior, he might feel a little awkward. So it is the responsibility of the teacher to explain this thing to the class, that okay, he has some other problem, so he came a little late, but now he's a classmate of yours, and you should all mingle together and work jointly. Okay, so that is the way we can tackle this ageism problem. Now, a very, very important dimension of diversity is the language, because as we live in a country which is having many languages, and if the student doesn't understand the language of the teacher, and the teacher doesn't understand language of the student, then it is very, very difficult for us to basically teach a particular subject to the student. So there should be some common languages, and to make a common language throughout the country is very, very, difficult. So so we should understand this aspect very delicately, because the language is very, very close to our heart. So this is called basically the language diversity or the linguistic diversity. And suppose the class is going on in English and there is one student who cannot understand anything, so he might feel that he's the odd man out. So it is the role of the teacher that explain to him that okay, he has to learn English because others cannot talk in other languages. So there should be some kind of we should facilitate the student, the learning of the student on the particular language, so that he doesn't feel that he's odd man out, and he can easily take out the notes, understand and discuss with other fellow mates, other classmates, and grow. Okay, so in the back end of the mind, we should remember always that no one wants to be embarrassed. That is very, very important aspect of every human being, that just because his mother tongue is different, he doesn't want to be embarrassed. So so that's why there's a word called bullying. So we should make sure that bullying doesn't take place in our classroom, because everybody loves his or her mother tongue. Now the problem is that in our country is so vast that there are about 780 languages spoken in different parts of the country, and government has recognized 22 languages as the official language, but that is also quite huge. So suppose there is a great institution which is say for example Far East or Northeast in a state of the Assam or some other state, and some student goes over there and he is not able to understand the local language, so he will face some difficulty. So it is the role of the teacher to make him comfortable and try to develop some kind of common language where the student can easily learn that language, and then can focus on the studies, because studies is important, because he has to write the exam and get a passing grade, or then after that he should join his job. So this linguistic diversity is a term used to describe the difference between different languages and the ways that people communicate with each other. So in many places you will see that if you are traveling by train, or you are watching some serial or maybe movie, this kind of people make fun out of the language or accent on other persons. So this is basically we see in many places, but that basically hurts the sentiment of a particular person. So in the classroom, it is basically we have to make sure that everybody is equal, and no one should feel isolated or embarrassed. So as a teacher, we should be careful that diversity related to language is very delicate issue, and we should handle this properly in our classrooms. So we can give an example that when like this, our neighboring country Bangladesh got their independence, that was because of the fight for the mother tongue. Okay, so you see that people of West Bengal and Bangladesh feel a special bonding just because that of the language, like Bengali language, and that is there in many places, like that there is Punjab in our country and Punjab in Pakistan. So if you see the bordering districts, they might have similar accents which we may not understand. So other example could be, say for example, the western part of Orissa, which is bordering Andhra Pradesh. There there is marriage between these people from that side, and their language similar. They understand Telugu people understand Orissa, and there is cultural similarities, and they appreciate. So it is all related to our mind, that okay, if I get a chance to think and try to understand their culture, then basically there is no opposition. But if we see from far away, we see that okay, these people are that, this is their language, this is their food, and this kind of prejudice, right? So you see that in this case of this Bangladesh, language played a very important role in their fight for independence. basically that I think Pakistan wanted that Urdu will be the official language, but people of Bangladesh objected. So there was a movement based on the language, and they got independence. So it was in the world, it was the only independence movement based on linguistic and cultural rights. So and they got independence in 1972, and in 1999 UNESCO declared February 21st as International Mother Language Day. So such was the importance of this particular day, that because you see that everybody loves his mother tongue. Okay, so so in our country the specific problem is that we cannot have all the higher educational institutes where we have only one language spoken. So and majority of the students who basically have their do their elementary education and school education in their respective states, so that is having a different language. So when they come to a common place like say IIT Bombay, okay, or IC Bangalore, then there is a problem that that he has to mentally prepare that probably the medium of communication will be or instruction will be English. So I have to be good at English also, because I have to take the notes. The derivation will be made in English language. I have to understand the books will be in English. So those kind of things are similarly. I have to also accept that okay, if I go to some other state, maybe I have to learn a little bit of their language so that I can communicate. So that is the fundamental thing. And as a teacher, we will also should be careful that that based on the few students who are say lower in percentage in the classroom and they are speaking a different language, and they should not feel isolated, and there should be a common language which will try to promote that everybody can discuss and take notes and deliver it in the classroom, so that that becomes secondary, and learning a particular subject, say physics, that becomes more important, essential. So you will see that another example of how the language can impact the health of the mental health of a student. So there is a very shocking news that one student, that her name was Rani More. She was a bright student and completed 10+2 in Hindi. Okay, and that MP government has started the MBBS program in Hindi from July 2022, and though she studied 10+2 in Hindi, but she joined the MBBS program in English, and she took admission in 2023. And probably you might have some idea that the MBBS courses, you have to study many books, or quite thick and all. So she was finding it a little difficult to study all those books in English, and exam was approaching. But her father was a very nice person. He was a government employee, and he used to give a lot of encouragement that okay, everything will be all right. You just do your normal studies. But however, she ended her life, and there was no suicide note. So mostly you can say that maybe she was under peer pressure, that she is not able to cope up in English, and she might fail. So this fear of failure, that might have dragged her to take the end step. So this is very, very shocking. But these kind of things are possible in our country, where we have many languages, right? So what we can do, as I told you that yesterday also, I told you that there's every institution should have a teaching learning center, and in that center itself we can have a very small room, or our room can be utilized 1 or 2 hours a day to be designated as the language lab, or the linguistics lab, or linguistics club. So that is essential, because we see that suppose there's a student and his mother tongue is a different language, but the medium of instruction is English. And when he's say he's in the 6th semester, and he knows that in the 7th semester there will be placement season, and companies will come and take the interview, and in 6th semester he's telling that his English is poor. So then I also feel helpless, that why didn't you start practicing from your first year itself? So if we have some kind of language lab as part of the curriculum, maybe some 1 or 2 credit units, but 1 hour, 2 hours per week, then this consistently, if the students who feel that they need to improve in English, they can definitely increase over a period of 1 or 2 years, and perform really well in the interview. So the thing is that now on the other hand, as since it is a very, very important topic, and every institute likes to see that their students are getting jobs. So the infrastructure are available in majority of the institutions. However, if the student doesn't doesn't understand this issue with himself and doesn't come forward that I want to use this linguistic club or language lab for improvement of my own language skills, communication skills, then basically we cannot do much. Okay, so this is the students, they should come forward and seek help from the faculty members, and we are there to help them. Okay, so now a very, very important dimension is religion. You know that perhaps this is a very important topic on which a lot of wars are happening till today in some part of the world. So it's again I am very much fascinated or passionate about my own religion, and I don't think that other religions are good. So this is basically coming from the lack of understanding. Okay, so there also you can see that in your class there might be some students who belong to different religions, and they get involved in some kind of hot discussion, hot debate, and all these things. So as a teacher, we can have this kind of discussion sessions that ultimately religion is basically a part of our life, and it's part of our personal life. Okay, so I should have some difference between my personal life and professional life, and my religion helps me to get peace of mind and all other benefits I get. And I don't like if somebody says bad about me. So basically I don't discuss about my religion in the classroom. That's basically say it is to be discussed, say philosophy class or biology class, that's to be discussed. But we should keep away our individual things in the classroom, and we'll talk to any other person, any other student who is having a different religion. We politely and with respect, mutual respect, then probably we'll be able to solve these issues in the classroom level. Okay, and also you'll see that when the student strength is quite large in institutions like big universities or IITs and all other NITs, you see that there might be this possibility of some kind of argument in the hostel also. But as faculty members or maybe as wardens of hostels, we can also have a lot of discussions between student groups, so that they develop the understanding that everybody belongs to is having their own religion, but it doesn't mean that one religion is superior, another religion is inferior. We should have some mutual respect, and we should allow everybody to be able to practice his own religion. Okay, so that is basically we can also say like language. This religious diversity is a social phenomena, and we should discuss elaborately this issue in the classroom, and you'll see that after the student is able to understand, then he will go into the path of tolerance. Okay, and if you go outside India, you will see that you are mingling with people who are having much different religions, right? So we'll develop some kind of universal acceptance within our mind about these attributes of diversity. So coming to the physical aspect, that you see, we should appreciate the fact that that every institute we see some people who have some kind of physical disability, or we call them physically challenged. They have certain problem that is not helping them to learn at a faster speed. So we should have some kind of infrastructure and also the mindset to help those students learn at their own speed, and help them to increase their speed, so that they can be well prepared for the examination. So okay, so let's discuss something about the ability and the disability. Okay, so you see that as a teacher, we would like to see this kind of a picture, right? So there's a student with some physical disability, there's some student with some different skin color, different language, different religion, but still in the classroom they are happy, they're helping each other, doing a project work or teamwork, and they're smiling. So this is basically the ideal classroom one teacher can expect, right? So how to build this kind of classrooms? That we should have some basic infrastructure, which whether the student is someone should be able to bring him to the classroom. He's taking help from the wheelchairs, and apart from that, there are other there shouldn't be any peer pressure and other things we should discuss and be able to solve. Okay, so you see, you just look at the jar and you see that there should be a level for the jar, right? Now, if there is a student who is having some kind of physical challenge, then typically we tend to develop some idea that okay, that particular fellow is blind, or that particular fellow is say Divyang and all these things which you call. But that what is the impact in the mind of the student when someone says so? He feels basically a little bit embarrassed, and this is basically he feels sad about it. So it is suggested that there is no need to label a particular student based on his these challenges, right? Because he is after all he or she is after all a human being and not a particular jar consisting of say pickle and all these things that we should have some kind of labeling. So that there are certain negative words and also certain positive words. So we should learn which are the negative words and which are the positive words, and use the positive words as much as possible in our communication. Like if you say the disabled children, then that might be little, it has some kind of negative connotation. So from these, the better statement is children with disability, and after that slowly we go the next level. We say that the children with special needs or exceptional needs or educational needs. Okay, because educational needs means a particular student might be a slow learner. Okay, so slow learner means suppose I give a problem and others are able to solve within 5 minutes, and he or she is taking say 10 minutes or more to solve the problem. That means the orientation in the brain may not be like other students, other normal students. So he or she is taking more time. That means he needs assistance, right? So that's why we can also tell this as the children with additional needs. Additional needs, that means the support system in the classroom is not adequate. So she needs she has additional needs. So beyond the classroom, then we can have some kind of extra class or tutorial sessions, and beyond that also there could be some some kind of counseling services which may be needed for a few students who are slow learners. So this counseling services today is there in majority of the institutes and universities, and that is very, very essential also, okay, to guide them. So now the question is, should a child suspected of or diagnosed with a development issue be labeled? Like this slow learner example which I gave to you right now, and also maybe some student writes very slowly or has some difficulty holding the pen. Okay, so those students have some some additional needs, and for that a particular teacher may not be the right person. So we should have a counselor, and then maybe we want to seek medical advice for the particular child with the assistance of the parents. Okay, so the special needs or these additional needs we call as the excess versus the deficit. So some particular quality, if that is less than the normal, then we also call them as say for example physically challenging or special needs students. Now the thing is that this is a very sensitive issue, and now at least there is a law that if some student with some kind of special needs joins an institute, then this institute should make the proper arrangement for in terms of infrastructure and teaching, so that the student can learn and get the degree, because based on the physical needs of the particular student, the institute cannot reject the admission. Okay, that's very, very good thing which has happened. Now there are a few numbers which you should understand. The country's top 150 colleges universities and institutes have only 0.56% of disabled candidates enrolled as students. Okay, so by telling this, what I mean to say that this is pretty small, still important, because even if there is one blind student, then we have to make a lot of arrangements, right? And another dark side of this statistics is that there are many students who may not be basically enrolling as students to the institutes. So how to provide education to those people? So this low percentage means that out of a total about 15 lakh plus students in these educational institutes, there are only about you can say 8,500 students with disabilities. So classic example where we should focus now under the instruction of Government of India, many universities, institutes, they are they are modifying their infrastructure rapidly so that we can facilitate the learning of those particular students. So like the ramp in the ground floor, maybe in the institutes, in the department, and also in the hostel, so that with the help of a wheelchair, the student can comfortably enter the department or go out or enter the hostel. And suppose there is a lab, say for example chemistry lab, which is in the second floor, and there is no elevator. So how the student with a wheelchair, sorry, he is able to attend any class which is in the ground floor. But it's very, very difficult for him to go to the second floor if there is no elevator. So maybe we have to relocate some labs in the ground floor, or we have to install the elevators as soon as possible. So for that, we need some funding. If internal funding doesn't permit, then probably the institute should request the Government of India for adequate funding for this implementation of these the infrastructure changes. And also we can sort of request the alumni group for donations, so that we can make this kind of arrangement for the students with some special needs. Okay, so you see that on the other hand, there could be that as I told you that as compared to the normal intelligence, there could be some gifted students who have excess, say you can say roughly excess gray matter. So they it is also difficult for a normal classroom setting, difficult for the teacher to handle those students, because they are they are highly focused on a particular subject, and in other subjects they are reluctant, they don't have much interest. So so we call them as that we call them as gifted children or the talented children. And and if we talk about this physical challenges or the special needs, we see that let us sort of categorize those aspects. Like there could be learners with a difficulty in seeing, that partially blind or completely blind. For them different types of books and all these things are available, and we have to make arrangements. Then there could be some students who have difficulty in hearing, then in communication, then maybe if you ask some question and the student needs more time to understand the question, that is one problem. There could be another student who understands the question, but when he is trying to reply to your question, he is basically framing the sentences in his mind, in his brain, and that is taking time. Okay, so he is responding much later. So that might make the teacher impatient. But if the teacher is aware about those physical needs, then he will basically cooperate with the student. Then difficulty walking, moving, that is basically for that we have those arrangements, wheelchairs and all these things. And difficulty remembering and focusing. Okay, so for example, the teacher is teaching something and the student is focusing something throughout the window, looking at the bird or some flower in the garden and all these things. And remembering is very important issue. Suppose he is able to understand the topic in the classroom, and the next day if I ask the same thing to the student and he's not able to tell anything, so that means he's not able to remember what was discussed in the class. So and other examples which were discussed yesterday. And there could be difficulty with self-care, for example, that they need assistance in drinking water, or holding their bags, or moving from one room to another room, and many other things are possible. Okay, so here we'll give the example of a few gifted or talented individuals who were really gifted. Okay, so one example is Pablo Picasso, who is world-renowned painter. You all know that, and he also, apart from painting, he had many other qualities, and but he was not able to focus in the normal subjects in the classroom, because those letters which were written by the class teacher, they used to be jumbled up. When he was trying to read those sentences, the letters used to be jumbled up, and he was not able to make out the proper meaning of those sentences. Okay, so he used to spend long hours just in the corridor and looking at the sky and all of the things. Incidentally, he was good at drawing or painting. So his father basically understood this and shifted him to some other school where he got more assistance in drawing, and then after that he basically was able to succeed. Okay, so this when some particular ability is significantly above the normal ability than their peer age group, then we can tell that this is basically a giftedness among that particular student, and that may manifest in one or more domains, such as the intellectual. Then we have this creative, artistic, leadership, or in a special academic field such as language, arts, mathematics, or science. So you see at the bottom, you see we have this photograph of Professor Stephen Hawking, who's professor of physics, and he was a very, very talented person, just like you can say gifted. And he had some motor neuron disease, which when he started his PhD, then slowly he was suffering from that particular disease, and he was used to take assistance from some machine to be able to communicate. Okay, but still, all those problems, in spite of all those challenges, he published research papers of very high quality, and also published a couple of books. So so he's very, very talented. So this kind of students, when they are in the class, if they don't understand or don't have any interest or don't have any focus, then this kind of students basically they feel reluctant to attend the class. So this becomes a problem for the particular teacher who will be little bit who might be offended. So in this case, we should have some kind of proper system in place, that we should understand what is the area where the student feels like doing, and he has some passion. So then probably we have to help them to excel in that particular area. So this is also the case in terms of, say for example, some student is very good in football and don't have any facility to provide to the student, so that he can practice and do good in this particular sport. So so that we have to have that particular infrastructure, so that we can take out the best out of those students in terms of curricular and co-curricular activities. Now there is something called intellectual disability. It means intellectual functioning that might be slow, or that there might be some mistake carried out by the particular student because of that intellectual disability, and problem with the adaptive behavior, including conceptual, social, or practical skills. So in that case, because the teachers are not expert of all those topics, or all those attributes of character of the student which might be visible in the classroom. So it is very, very important for us to talk to the parents, and then understand that, okay, this student has this kind of problem, and if we can assist him in that particular issue, probably he will be able to attend the classes and learn at his own speed, and catch up. Okay, so that's very, very important for us to do. And sound counseling service consisting of professors of human behavior or psychology and all these things, that really help the other teachers who are not aware of those those disabilities that might be there in very few students in the institute. Okay, then coming to the learning disability, that for forgetting things or not able to recall, then the normal mental ability that might be little bit distorted to some students, and that self-care delays, etc. So this can manifest in different aspects, like he might feel difficulty in listening, thinking, speaking, reading, writing, and all these things like spelling. And also in doing the mathematical calculations, he might frequently make mistakes. So practicing thing is basically the first step to solve those issues. But also we should talk to the parents and request them to go for some kind of medical assistance, where probably there is a cure for that. Okay. So there are many types of learning disabilities. Some names are mentioned here, and what is the manifestation that is also there. For example, if we know that there is a problem called dyslexia. So this is the reading and language processing skills that is basically disturbed with a particular student who is suffering from that disability. So we can see that the manifestation would be that reading slowly, then that difficulty in decoding words, and especially the order of letters. So that, as I told you, the example of Pablo Picasso, that if the words are coming to his brain as randomized words, then randomized letters, then he cannot frame proper words and doesn't understand what is basically the meaning of the particular sentence. So there could be problem recalling the known words. That is also problem, that one particular word I have discussed the meaning of the word and with an example in yesterday, and today I am asking the same thing to the student, and he's not able to remember that this is the example, this is the meaning of the word which were discussed in the previous class. So those kind of issues are there with students. Some students that they are there in institutions. So we should try to solve that issue, help the students, and we should have the necessary infrastructure for that. Okay. So that the students who are not able to speak, they like this, hearing the impairment or those things are there. They can learn something from like the assistance of sign languages. So in the institute we may not have experts who are who will be able to teach the student in sign languages. So probably we should make an arrangement that there is some professor is there who can teach using sign languages, so he can be invited over a brief period of time and teach students who have this impairment, and then they will be able to how they should impart that. They will stand in front of the student as close as possible, then they develop eye contact, and with the sign language they will with the sign language they will basically explain the topics, and the student will be able to follow. Okay, so this is the important thing, and now the important part of from the government of India is that we will not encourage the student who is having some physical challenges or physical needs to be taught separately. So he has to be there in the same classroom, and it will be little challenging, because his or her speed of learning might be different as compared to the normal students. So the teacher will play a very important role with the help of this kind of assistances, and that the student learns, is able to learn, improve his speed, and able to do good in the exams, and now go to the next level. So how these kind of things manifest in different students, that this are basically come under the category of some kind of disorders. Okay, so like the autism spectrum disorder, then they might have also behavioral disorder and all these things. So maybe this is due to some neurological problems or social impact, like the student might be socially maladjusted, or a little bit you can say that emotionally disturbed. Like some people say that when the child is very very small, Then if there is a fight between the father and the mother, then that has a negative impact onto the emotional development of the student, so of the child. So those kind of things might be there, and we have we are not scientifically we cannot make comments that how to solve this problem. But as a teacher, what I believe is that we have to recognize that this is a problem, and then we should talk to the parents, and with the help of counseling service, we have to request them that okay, you should take medical assistance, so that this problem, if it is rectifiable, that problem is rectified as early as possible. Okay, so so now the thing is that this very important picture which I also discussed yesterday is talking about that equality and equity. Like the student who is having some who is a slow learner, then for him I have to spend more time, or I have to request some teaching assistants to take extra classes, discuss with him, maybe listen to the student, and then help him to improve his learning disability, and make him a good learner. Okay, or a little bit you can say fast learner from a slow learner. So this equity is very, very important. So this is in terms of the library facility, the language lab, and the facilities in the hostels. We should make sure that this is not being exploited by the other students who basically don't need that, but those labs, those spaces are there for the student with some kind of extra needs or special needs, and the tutors are there to help them to learn it at their own speed, but finally learn the correct thing, and they so that they can do good in the exams, and the achievement gap is minimized. Like of a normal student, suppose normal student gets 80, 85 in a particular exam, the other student also, with proper assistance and support, he is also getting a marks very close to that 80 or 85. So that achievement gap is minimized. Okay, so then we will also be able to do, you can say, the social justice, right? So now there are some agreements, because the different international communities, they understood that education is very, very fundamental, very important if I want to improve the level of any individual. So in 1989 there was the UN Conventions on the Rights of the Child. So the child doesn't know, so but it has some rights. So these could be civil right, political, economic, social, health, and all these things. Then in 1990 there was the World Declaration of Education for All. So so the people have recognized that there should be an infrastructure to provide education to all the stakeholders, all the people. So there should be a basic learning needs of all the children, youth, and adults that should be facilitated. Okay, and adult education is also very, very important. That is mostly consists of people who are who have retired, and they are attending some classes, so that they are they're aware that what is going on into the world. For example, suppose I have a grandfather who doesn't know what is artificial intelligence. So there are some community services, and if he attends those things, then he can understand that okay, this is the way the world is changing. Okay, and he's aware of all these things. Now, in 1994, there was the UNESCO Salamanca Statement and the Framework for Action. So this is a policy level, and it was requested to all the governments to give special focus on that. These governments should give highest policy and budgetary priority to improve their education systems, to enable them to include all children, regardless of individual differences or difficulties. That means it is essential for all the governments to make sure that the children, irrespective of their special needs, they are able to attend school, because education, then only we can ascertain education for all. Okay, so the thing is that so now the thing is that what is special education? So we can just frame these phrases like the special needs education. That means the child who is special, he or she needs education, and at the same time the students who have certain difficulty, they have the special educational needs. For example, beyond the normal classroom, probably we have to make some extra arrangement so that their special needs are being met. So that all the things should be implemented through teaching only. Okay, so after that, if we are able to make that infrastructure and follow that policy of NEP 2020, and we get support from the management of the institute, then definitely we can probably take care of any student, whether he's partially blind or having some other challenges or other needs. They can be taken care of, and they can really do good there in their respective subjects. By what is maybe in some engineering or some other subject, science, arts, commerce, but they will be able to cope up with this and improve their learning without getting mentally affected, and be a happy citizen later on. Okay, so now coming to this inclusive education that will start after the break. So now I'll be happy if you have any doubts, or you share with me your experiences. Okay. So if you have any doubt, please ask me. Okay, so if you don't have any question, then let us take some small break. And around 2:30, let's meet 2:30, 2:35. Okay, so I'll just mute this here, and we'll see with the student diversity and inclusive education. Okay. So, welcome back. Let's start the second part of today's lecture. So, are you able to see the presentation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So, so you see that when you talk about this diversity, and we define this diversity, and we have also discussed about the different aspects of dimension of diversity. So finally, we see that at least it is very easy for us, the Indians, to understand that the student diversity is a very, very normal thing, because students have to move from this state to another state in search of a good education, or then later on for jobs. So he has to handle all these issues, right? So now within this academic framework, how to help them, and how to solve this issue of these differences due to diversity. So that is the only solution, is that through the inclusive education. That means we share and we care about all the students in the class, and take care of the differences in a very delicate manner, and we have enough deliberations and discussions so that we appreciate the viewpoint of every stakeholder, and then we go deeper into the particular subject, and don't allow other dimensions to distract ourselves. So by this, what we mean to say is that we should be able to reach out to all the learners, and that can be only through this inclusive education. And we have to address and respond to diversity of needs of all children, youth, and adults, especially the youth, because we're talking about the college education. And so this slowly you'll see that I will talk about the implementation of this inclusive education, these goals. So it will involve the changes and modification in content, then approaches, structures, and strategies. Okay. So, for example, if the content is aligned with the inclusive education, but my approach is a different one, then may not be maybe I'm not the right person to be able to implement the inclusive education in my classroom. So it's all depends on my thought process, my approaches, and how I try to implement the content in my classroom, how I align my strategies to achieve this goal. And yesterday we discussed about this holistic education. So a holistic approach will be appropriate. And that there are many students in our country who have certain other difficulty because of their location. Maybe they are from a very remote area. Okay, so there is not a proper road connectivity between their home and the school or the college, and there is a issue with the network, this internet and all these things, and maybe they don't have proper facility, proper teachers. So all these problems are there in different parts of the country. So we should understand that the students who are coming to the college or the institute, they might be having all these problems when they were young, and that they are carrying along with themselves. So about 57% of students, they basically come from the disadvantaged groups, and then if I expect that they should learn, they should know this thing from their 10+2 or 10th standard, I may be wrong, because they probably they may not have received the proper training, or there is no proper books or proper guidance to those students because of their remote location. So then basically the more easily we understand their problem, we then quickly we'll be able to help them to solve all those problems and take up the subjects which are being taught in a faster way. Okay, then you see that there is a triangle in this picture, and this talks about the 3 dimensions of the particular index. So this is the index for inclusion. So this is you can also say that that this is some kind of there is some kind of circularity in this, like so first thing, let's assume that we have this yes, we have to produce the inclusive policies. Okay, so this or you can say we have framed these inclusive policies, and then based on that evolving inclusive practices. So because there is a policy, and the policy suppose policy is made by that some big team sitting in some big university and all, but that every small terms and conditions of the policy may not be suitable for every location. For example, in the month of, I will give a simple geographical problem. Suppose in the states of Uttar Pradesh, you see that in the month of June, it is so hot that we cannot have normal classes, because it is risky to go outside, because you might suffer from the sunstroke and all these things. But if you go further east, and maybe in some part of the northeast, you will see that in the month of June it is very pleasant weather, but in July there is huge rainfall where it is difficult to move. So maybe we have to shift. So similarly, the other many other aspects of those policies we have to understand, and based on that we have to make some kind of important or meaningful practices, and then we have to follow those practices within our institute, and then only it will develop the inclusive culture. Okay, so once inclusive culture is established, and then basically you can say that we are basically having the circularity, because when we practice these inclusive cultures, then there might be some we observe that there is some problem, then we need to change or modify some policy. Then again we go back to the policies and again modify them, and then accordingly we frame the practices, and then we when we carry out those practices, we basically develop the inclusive culture. Okay, so this is the way this index for inclusion works. So that means in every step you see that the feedback from the stakeholders is very, very important. For example, if I design some kind of extracurricular activity for the students, just maybe just before their exam, they may not like it. So that while doing something, we must take feedback from all the stakeholders. Then only probably we can say that we are able to make the best out of that particular policy. Say this is NEP 2020. Under that we are framing those policies, and then how to implement. Then we have to these practices, and then once we start practicing, this becomes a culture. And then and when we practice following those things, those cultures, then we develop that there might be some need to change the policy or modify the policy. Then it keeps on going. Okay, so this in a nutshell are basically the index for inclusion, which we have to understand and follow in true spirit. Now basically the inclusion means sense of belonging. Okay, so basically it ensures that one school for all, equal education for all, and providing equal opportunity for all. So providing equal opportunity is a very, very important aspect. For example, if there is a period for sports in the curriculum, and at the time the ground is not available. Okay, or the maybe the football or other things are given to some other group of students. So the students get the ground, but they can't play. So that means we are not able to manage properly. Okay, or maybe the sports teacher is when he comes to the school, that time the normal class is going on. So those kind of problems are not very major problems, but if we don't solve these, then the students become unhappy, feel unhappy. So that doesn't help basically. So to have this inclusive education, we have to always strive to arrange for equal education for all, and and similar thing is applicable for the library facility. For example, if the library facility is given to only, say, for a particular subject or branch of students, or a particular year, suppose only the fourth year students, then it will not be a good thing. Okay, so these things are for all these facilities, so we have to sort of maintain that. So there was a comment by Uma Tuli that she told inclusion is a process by which school expands its resources to meet the learning needs, physical needs, and emotional needs of all children. Okay, so basically, this talks about this policy, but focuses more on the resources and the needs of different stakeholders, and for the emotional needs also. This talks about that what needs to be done to impart inclusive education. And there was another set of comments by the educationist Michael F. Glenn Greco, that inclusive education is a set of values, principles, and practices that sets more effective and meaningful education for all students, regardless of whether they have exceptionality levels or not. That means whether it's for a normal student or a student who is having some special need, we can offer this inclusive education, because it is basically a set of values, okay, and principles, so that we have to understand and we have to adopt in our day-to-day teaching, and we have to be able to practice it, and then we should be able to impart this inclusive education in a more effective and meaningful way, okay, to our students. So if we appreciate that the diversity is there, and diversity should be retained, and at the same time we have to be able to impart inclusive education, then let us just summarize what are the importance of inclusive education. Okay, so this will help us to develop the positive understanding. It is because the student, when he joins the college, he will see that the teacher, staff, and others, they are trying to help, and whatever the difference is there, whatever diversity is there, that is accepted by everybody, and they are trying to help any student irrespective of his caste, creed, or language or religion. Okay, so then basically they will develop a positive understanding, and then it will help them to develop intimacy. I mean to say that friendship and mutual respect among the classmates, and it will help them to learn the necessary academic skills. Okay, and in the classroom, since I am open to the discussion, and I am ready to listen to the problems of any student, so I will be able to create a learning environment, because I am learning from them, they're learning from me, and then it will be easy for the teacher to teach the respective subject. Okay, because we are able to understand that diversity is there, and that is a natural phenomena. So the students will be able to develop the friendship, and with this, the teachers will basically talk more, or invite the parents to the schools to talk about the progress of the students, or if there is a some kind of physical needs, that is also discussed. So it will improve the parent participation, and if parent participation is improved, then what will be the outcome? Outcome is that they feel more comfortable and confidence that okay, their son or daughter has this problem, and there are teachers who will take care of the student when he is inside the school, and they will also spread the message in the community that this college is really good in terms of inclusive education, because they take care of all the students irrespective of their their languages, their culture, their religion, and so on and so forth. And through this practice, and as I discussed the index, so through this practice, the students learn to accept the individual differences. Okay, so they don't pass comments or bully other students based on the skin color or language or other things. So these individual differences are are appreciated, and they then they can accept them as their friends, and they can easily do the teamwork, be it curricular activity or extracurricular activity or whatever is the case. There's individual differences don't affect their learning process. Okay, so now let us have some discussion about what are the main characteristics of this inclusive education, so that it is not only for the disabled students. Okay, so perhaps now you understand or appreciate the fact that we start and we have some little larger discussion on about the students who are having some physical needs, but still there are other things like religion and culture and language and all these things, those dimensions of diversity, those are also important. And so apart from the physical needs, these are also characteristics, and this inclusive education is not only for the disabled students. And opposition, it is opposition of segregation, because that if there is a student with some physical needs, and if that student is taken to some some other classroom and individually taught, then the student might feel some kind of isolation. So that is not good for his or her mental development, mental growth. So this we should avoid this segregation and allow the student to be able to mingle with the classmates and learn at his own speed. So this will be then welcome to all the students. Okay, and through this discussion and dialogue, what are the diversity aspects present among different students in the classroom, that will be well identified, and everybody understands that okay, this is my this is my language, this is my religion, this is their language. But that doesn't help them, that doesn't basically create any rift between the students and help them basically accept those things and continue learning. And so if we are able to discuss and follow these intakes and all these things in the classroom, then basically we'll be able to maintain or establish equal place for all inside the classroom. And that one important part that I just discussed is that that through this process we can also involve the parents and the adjoining society, because the society develops a very good perception about the institute, and they will be ready to help the teachers by telling that okay, this kind of problem their kid has, and the teachers will take care of them. Okay, and then we'll be able to provide quality education. Okay, so the objective of inclusive education is basically to education for all, because that no one should be left out. And if we are able to appreciate and accept those diversities, then and after that we focus on our individual subjects, then definitely it will improve the quality of education. Okay, and protection of human rights, that is very, very important, because in many places you will see that there will be abuses, and there are a lot of problems between students with different languages or religions and all. So there might be violation of human rights. So if we are able to establish this harmonious nature and situation among the students, then we will be able to successfully protect the human rights, because then I do not treat my students differently. All are equal and all are, everything is discussed. Okay? And they develop the fellow feeling among the peers. That means instead of sort of pulling the leg or bullying, they develop some kind of fellow feeling that okay, this fellow is joined this institute from far away place, and I should help him, because when a student joins an institute, that he also needs to go out of the institute and needs to learn about the city, and where he can go and where he should not go and all these things. So he can be properly counseled by some classmates and also the other counseling service or the seniors. So they develop the fellow feeling, because the teacher is supporting them. So it will help them to prepare for new challenges. Okay, and whatever the skills students have, that is identified, and the institute is helping them to flourish or improve those skills. Like yesterday I discussed about, suppose we go for some excursion, and we see that some student is good at taking photographs and photographic skills, so he can be helped to further improve his skills, and he can lead the institute in this inter college these competitions, and bring awards and reputation for the particular institute. Okay, so these are in a nutshell, these are the few objectives of the inclusive education. So now at the same time, we should also be a little bit aware about those challenges of inclusive education. And is the mic on for anybody? Okay, so these challenges of inclusive education is that providing the adequate support for diverse learning needs. So the thing is that if you just look at the students, then you will see that the students who are in first year, they have certain problems, like they have problem of settling down to the institute. So so that is the thing. When the student moves on to second or third year, then they have different types of learning needs, and we see that maybe they want to study at the night time, so library should be open, and those kind of support system, like the canteen should be open up to the late at night, and all these things, and there should be adequate safety and security services inside the institute. So those are some important aspect of inclusive education. So that we have to, as a teacher, we have to ensure that, and we have to try to make sure that the students are able to overcome the bias and stereotypes against each other. Okay, and that is possible only through detailed deliberations and discussions, and and appreciating the diversity. And we should try to ensure equal opportunity for participation and success. Okay, for example, if there's some students who are good at some particular sports, and they are not given some suitable slots so that they can practice, and then they will feel bad, and that is not going to be a good thing for them. Okay, so those kind of things, and relevant academic that opening of library hours, and that other labs and language labs, and those things are also important. Okay, and in this context, I would like to add one thing that I saw in some IIT, that they have this teaching learning center, and they conduct this training for the teachers, and with the help support from the alumni also, they are able to construct a small conference room in every department. Okay, so what is the advantage? Advantage is that suppose there is a participant today who is attending this course, and after that, after completion, he is giving explaining his learning to his colleagues in the same department, say 10, 15 or 20 faculty members. So for that, you need a space, and but not a very bigger space. So if every department has some small conference room, that is really beneficial to proper dissemination of knowledge and discussion and deliberations. And even that can also be used to have some group meetings, like a professor has 3 or 4 PhD students, and along with them he wants to have a group discussion or group meeting. But if he gets some kind of bigger conference room, there is no need. Okay, so if a small room, that will also be adequate for him. So the thing is that now you all understand that these index, then this diversity, and then discussing all these things in the classroom, taking everybody into confidence, this takes a lot of time. And also at the same time, we have to go for this modification in the infrastructure, so that the student with special needs can move comfortably in the department, in the hostel, and in other places. Okay, so that is basically needs some fund, and also this cannot be established within a very short period of time. It takes some time. So this process of appreciating diversity and incorporating inclusive education, this basically is time consuming process. So we should be patient, and we should also see that whether we are able to slowly grow and incorporate those things into our daily classes, our interactions with the students, and also we are able to convince our management that they should be supportive as to implement those things. And the resource constraint, as I told you, that that might be a problem, because even if you get a commitment from the government that okay, fund will come, but it might come after a few months. So those things we have to plan accordingly, and a very important aspect in this development of these facilities in an institute is to approach maybe some industries or the alumni group. They will be ready to help, and we should take the responsibility of implementing those things. And continuous support from the management is very, very important, because there are many institutes where there may not be a dedicated teaching learning center. Okay, so if that is not there, then if one particular faculty is interested about it, he cannot do much about it. Okay, so the support from the management and guidance from the higher authority like the VC or the principal or the director is very, very important. So now there are certain issues, or you can say the elements of inclusive education. So those couple of elements, this is not a very exhaustive list, but some important elements are like the human rights issues, which basically is very, very important, because if there is some violation, then it will be a big news in the newspapers and all, and the reputation of the institute will be disturbed. Then we should, first of all, I should accept within my mind that it's my responsibility to provide education for all. Okay, and I can do this in a much better manner only if there is involvement of the parents, because parents know their kid better than the teachers. So if there is some kind of, especially if the student has some kind of physical needs or some assistance, then the teacher initially doesn't know that. So if the parents make the teacher aware that the kid has this problem, then the institute is better prepared to take care of the emotional development of the particular student. And obviously we should also at the same time look at the curriculum. Okay, that is very, very important, because if the curriculum is not inclusive, then only the physical infrastructure will not be adequate. So every institute has their highest decision-making body, maybe the Senate and all these things. There we have to modify the curriculum. Maybe we have to invite experts from other universities, and then they will modify it. And after we approve those inclusive curriculum, we should try to follow that curriculum in spirits. Okay, and in its true spirit. So now especially for the slow learners, we have to have we need to take the help of the tutors or the teaching assistants, who will mostly be the PG or PhD students, and they will assist the faculty members to teach or to get extra classes, solving the problems in the classes in the afternoon sessions. And if there is a need, then they can also be available at the night time to assist the students, or you can say the slow learners. Okay, and then they will be able to impart the education and help the student to learn at a faster speed, and it will help break the barrier between the mind of the student, that he might have some confusions, might be a little bit skeptical, that okay, I am facing problem in this topic, and should I approach the teacher or not. But if he sees a second year or third year student as a TA or as a tutor, then he will feel very comfortable to discuss his problems, and the tutor will also be able to help, because he has already taken that particular course, and he will be able to help in solving the problems to the particular student who is a slow learner. Okay. So the principles of inclusive education, this is basically, where we want to emphasize that the teaching and learning about cultures and religions, that is a very, very important part. And so we have to understand that there are students from different culture and different religions in my same classroom. So I should have some adequate space for discussion and help the students to learn about other languages and other cultures and religions, so that everybody develops some kind of fellow feeling and respect for the other religions. Okay, so so the thing is that without any proper discussion, this may not be possible for the teacher to implement. Okay, now choosing the appropriate materials. So so for that we have to do some kind of homework. Homework is that basically if the student's level is of certain understanding, okay, and I want to teach the class with some kind of material which they are not comfortable with, then this becomes a problem. Okay, because these kind of things we see in kind of PG courses, because when the student he did BTech from some other place and coming to some IIT for doing MTech, then if I am suppose following the same style at which I am teaching the BTech students, there is some difference in their grasping power and all these things. Then I see that that some students of the MTech program, they are not able to understand, they are not able to follow what I am teaching. So then it doesn't make any sense. So then I have to have some little discussion that what is the point up to which they are able to understand, and then I have to modify the material so that they can understand the syllabus and and can learn at a faster speed. And by taking care of all the students, we can promote social justice, that the student should not feel that this teacher doesn't give time or is not approachable. So that is not the case. This is we are able to we are there for the students. We have time, we have to give some time to the students, and we are there in our office so that they can come and discuss any problem which they are having. Okay, and preventing the prejudice, that is very, very important, and we have already discussed what is the prejudice, and we have to prevent that, because that is going to harm the relationship between different students or the student and teacher. So we have to always be careful that I don't develop any prejudice on a particular student based on his language, culture, or religion, etc. And we might have to explore multiple identities, because once a student is there in the class, he might have some exceptional quality in some other domain which I may not know. But if we explore that and need to know, that maybe he can enrich his that quality, and also be meaningful for the particular institute, and bring awards for this for all for the institute. Okay, and then you see that as the most important and fundamental principle is that no one should be left out. That means teaching all. We should provide the teaching all students, and should have this facility and infrastructure so that we can reach out to all the students, be able to teach all of them and help them to improve their learning, and it becomes a meaningful experience for them. So there are some strategies for inclusive education. You see that universal design of learning. So designing of material means, suppose you might see that there are certain when you were studying in a college, you see that there are maybe one or two books, and the teacher is following the book and giving some notes, and that's it. But now, as the world is rapidly changing, then you see that this especially for the college education, the technology is rapidly changing. So it is not the textbook which we use for developing the and designing the learning material, but also we might have to take help from some research publications and papers, okay, and other magazines or reports, or some other classified documents, for example, the Ministry of, say, Education, or Ministry of, Petroleum and Natural Gas, they have some classified documents for about the scenario, okay, how India is performing well. So, for example, suppose if you are talking about the rural livelihood, and you are teaching about the the LPG distribution in the rural area, that PM Ujjwala Yojana, and you don't read the report from the government of India, their website and all, then we cannot impart the proper knowledge to the classroom, to the students. So if we want to make a universal design for learning, then we have to this create flexible materials which will incorporate many other things beyond the textbook, and and at the same time, I will also have to remember that I should be able to accommodate the diverse learning styles and abilities. So some students will be able to read very fast and understand very fast. Some students will need more time. He will be a slow learner, and he needs more time to grasp. So I should have that kind of flexibility into the curriculum. And some students learn better with if there are more examples. So that is also I have to take into consideration. Okay. Now, coming to the culturally responsive teaching, that means there should not be any derogatory language about the culture of any particular student as a whole into the instructional material. Okay, so we should be able to incorporate students' cultural backgrounds and experiences into the curriculum to make learning more relevant and engaging. Okay, so that is very, very important, that once I prepare the material, and when the student starts reading from that particular material, he shouldn't see something where some kind of unscientific things are written, or something based on the teacher's prejudice or perception, some bad thing is written about their culture. So student will feel offended, and that will not be a good thing, right? So we should be careful to develop those culturally responsive teaching and materials with sufficient examples, so that we are not creating any kind of disturbances in the learning process of the student. And we should encourage interaction and collaborative learning, because that also helps their cognitive behavior and development. And when we give some project work, then student has to talk to the project fellow members, and then they learn so many things through our project work, because the final task is broken down into small pieces, and every person gets a chance to do particular job, and he is instructed that, okay, this is the job you have to do, and you have to complete this within, say, 2 days or 3 days time, and you have to report to some other person. So this is the way they learn to work as a team, and it helps them to improve their communication skills, and peer-to-peer interaction also improves, and they develop some kind of bonding between the team members. And they say that they check that if somebody is not able to do properly, then basically what happens, that the other person who is done with his job, he might come forward and help the students, so that the team as a team, they are able to complete the task on time and be successful. Okay, so this collaborative learning is very, very important in the case of inclusive education. But at the same time, we should also have some individualized support. Like some student, if he wants to do a part of the project work and he needs some kind of personalized support, like he wants to improve his writing skills. So there should be some some tutors or some language labs where some staff or tutor will help the student to find the proper material where he can practice, and that should be corrected by a particular teacher. And he is instructed that, okay, these are the points where you made a mistake, and next time you don't repeat those mistakes, and you will be a better writer. Okay, for us to incorporate this inclusive education, and It will help and provide professional development for educators on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and that we will be able to see that positive impact of a particular policy, and then we will be able to help the higher management is able to perform his task. Then people will develop a lot of confidence that okay, this particular institute is really good, that they are able to provide inclusive education to the particular student with some special needs. Okay, so now let us see some statistics that there are about 2,000 special schools in India, mostly in urban areas. So that is one challenge, that in a rural area we have very limited number of those schools. So there is a program like Gati GATI that is promoted by the NGO, that is Atma Group. So this is an initiative towards the inclusive education. So you see that there are about 3 million children who have disabilities. Okay, and about 1/3 they are out of school. Okay, so this is the this number might vary. It depends on how we have done this counting, but more or less this average picture is the same. So about 3 million means 30 lakhs children, they have disabilities, and about 34% of them are now out of school. So it is very difficult for us to provide them education because they are out of school. So in the rural area, the situation is even worse. So why they are not coming to the school? There might be several reasons. That many are marginalized by poverty, then gender, then disability and caste, and many other things. So so now the thing is that you will appreciate that suppose there is a remote school which says that okay, only the boys will study. Okay, so that is a problem, where suppose there are some few girls, but they are not able to study because there is no school for the girls. So why the boys school and is not allowing girls? Because maybe it's simply because of the lack of understanding. Okay, if they discuss that a boy and girl both are very important component of the society, and when the girl will grow up, if she is not properly trained, properly educated, then she will not be a responsible mother. Not be able to be a responsible mother and a responsible person of the family. Then overall it is a bad thing for the society. Okay, so they are really marginalized, for different reasons. So that is a very gray area where probably we should draw the attention of respective state governments and the government of India, that where we should have more schools and colleges, and we should try to support them as much as possible through our capabilities. Okay, now with this, there are certain terms which are also very important for us to understand. That one is the gross enrollment ratio at the higher educational institutes. You see that the statistics there for all the students, and also students belonging to the backward class, like this scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and so on and so forth. So over a period of time, you see that this ratio or these percentages are improving, which means that people realize the importance of education, and they are enrolling themselves in the schools and colleges. You see, in the college level, there's a gross enrollment ratio at higher education. This age limit is basically defined as the age between 18 to 23, and people who are enrolled for college education per you can say 100 people in that region. So that ratio, that percentage, if I just discuss about for all the stakeholders put together, that male and female percentages are comparable. That is a really good thing. Like in that in 2021 data, we have about 27% male and 27.9% female, so comparable. And that ratio is also comparable in SC community, in scheduled tribe, and other backward classes. Okay, so you will see that across many groups, people are understanding that education is important. So the gross enrollment ratio is increasing, and government wants to improve this GER to a very high level when you reach 2030. So now we'll discuss about some other ratio which is more meaningful than the gross enrollment ratio. That is the EER. Okay, what is this? This is basically defined as the eligible enrollment ratio. Okay, and we'll have some kind of global comparison. So what is this? This eligible enrollment ratio is basically the students who are basically that enrolling for the college education divided by the number of students who have successfully qualified the 10+2 board exam, say passed the board exam. Okay, so that ratio is quite healthy for our country. For example, if we compare that gross enrollment ratio and eligible enrollment ratio amongst students in our country with that of some of the developed countries, we see that for example, if you look at the Germany situation, they are Germany, or you can say the UK, in our gross enrollment ratio is pretty less than the developed nations, but the eligible enrollment ratio is comparable to that of other chapters of the subject, and he will really do do better in the exams. Okay, and that will be possible through some project work, then group discussions with extra tutorial classes before exams, and and probably for some subjects like geology or some other subjects, civil engineering, the field experiences are also very, very important. Okay, now solving as much as problem is basically a very, very good thing for the students, because they they get a feel of the real life situation. So the developing the analytical skills among the students is very, very important, like this information and knowledge, and then how you analyze the data in such a fashion that you can find out, or you can make out some kind of trends. Okay, that what is going, what is increasing, what is decreasing, what is the demand, and all these things. Okay, you can create construct the knowledge, and as we discussed yesterday, that once the data are available and students are making plots and finding out the trends and asking themselves that why it's increasing, why it is decreasing, and so on and so forth. So that will help inculcate the critical and critical skills and analytical thinking skills, and with this it will help them to develop the creativity among the students. Okay, so if we implement all these things, so probably we will be able to minimize the achievement gap, which is basically the main purpose of this inclusive education. So we'll note down the individual differences in terms of physical, cognitive, social, and emotional development, and through inclusive education we will be able to meet up these diversified needs of the students, and then only they will be the achievement gap will be minimum. Okay, and we should use technology as much as possible, like the use of, say for example, like ChatGPT, and then nowadays you see that DeepSeek is they all have come. So where if there is some small doubt, the student need not go to the library, but also he can search, and then after getting some response to his query, there might be some small mistakes also. He should also then verify with by reading some textbooks or discussing further with the professor. Okay, and that there is a very important topic like that mentor and mentee system. So so how we can provide mentoring for the students is that, suppose there are 20 first year students, and for each 20 students there is one second year student. So he will act as a mentor, and these 20 students are the basically mentees. So and they meet maybe in the evening time, and they ask many things to the mentor about their coursework, their curriculum, the job scenario, and their personal life and hostel life, and all these things. Whatever doubt is there, especially when a student joins in the first year, first semester, he has a lot of doubts and curiosity. So mentors are very, very important to help them. Later on, mentors can guide them. That okay, this professor is working on fuel cell, and this professor is working on hydrogen production, hydrogen storage. So you can work with him if you have interest. So this mentor-mentee rapport is very, very important. Okay, and the mentor is also will be very much helpful to provide the remedial teaching and connecting him with the tutors and the TAs, etc. And that will bring a positive development, attitudinal development in the mentee. And when he will go to the second year, he will also be ready to help his juniors. So that will be overall establish a very good culture and the knowledge flow system in terms of this inclusive education in the institute. So now there could be another example of this success of this inclusive education that was promoted by Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. So there is a student, or you can say a simple person who was working as a laborer. So he's S. Vijay, and he belonged to a very poor family. Okay, so he is telling that his family is economic compelled him to discontinue his studies before he could complete sixth standard in 2011-12 and 12. In order to help my mother, I started working as a salesperson. Okay, so he had to abandon his studies. So maybe now, like we have implemented this multiple exit, multiple entry, that will be easily really helpful for some students who have to discontinue studies because of some personal and pressing problems, right? So he was working as a salesperson, and then there's a group called the Renaissance that at this juncture I was identified by the supervisor and block resource teacher educator of Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan during their survey in our area. They gave counseling to me and my mother and explained the significance of education to us. As we both were convinced and got interested in continuing my education, they admitted me in standard 6th in the special training center in RSTC at this is basically in Trichy district, Adi Dravidar Welfare Primary School. So this kind of schools are also very, very important to teach those laborers during the evening time or night time, right? So my guru, I must mention here the earnest efforts of the educational volunteer Mrs. Uma, who took special care of me and encouraged me to involve in studies. So I gradually got interest in studies and started learning to read and write. That is very, very fundamental for the initiation of the education, reading and writing. She also taught me painting as well as making handicrafts. So basically he was able to improve his soft skills, right? After the completion of special training, I was enrolled in this Adi Dravidar Welfare Higher Secondary School. My achievement and gratitude, I regularly attended the school, the college education. So there was a study conducted, between 24 teachers and 3,550 students, and those competencies of the students were measured, and new insights on the teacher's role in their students' learning process that were basically observed. And it is observed that it is noticed that the inclusive education favors the students' social and emotional competencies. Okay, so that means if we are able to impart inclusive education, that will necessarily improve the competency level of the student, both educational, social, and emotional competencies. Okay, so in conclusions, we can say that this embracing student diversity is essential for creating inclusive learning environment where all students can thrive. That is basically our main goal, and we should reach out to all the students. Then by implementing strategies for inclusive education and fostering inclusive communities, we can build a more equitable and enriching educational experience for everyone. Okay, so now I'll just what I will do is that just stop the sharing, and we will have some good amount of time, about maybe about 10 minutes. We will discuss with you about the issue which you are facing in your institute, and whether we can do something good if we implement the inclusive education. Okay, so let me ask somebody. Dr. Vinod Patel, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, can you tell something about your college or the institute?
सर IMS BHU से ही है सर, आयुर्वेद फैकल्टी। यस सर।
कहीं यार हवा कम है।
Okay, anybody who is outside UP?
मैं LND कॉलेज मोतिहारी पूर्वी चंपारण बिहार से हूँ सर।
ओके, अच्छा बोलिए, कुछ बोलिए आपके इंस्टीट्यूट के बारे में, कॉलेज के बारे में।
हमारा बिहार यूनिवर्सिटी का अंगीभूत महाविद्यालय है सर।
ओके।
सर मैं आपसे ये जानना चाह रहा था, ये इंक्लूसिव एजुकेशन पर बहुत सारी पॉलिसियां भी बन रही है ना।
हाँ।
यूनाइटेड नेशंस का कन्वेंशन भी भारत सरकार ने बहुत सारा एडॉप्ट भी किया है ना। तो एक हम लोगों के प्रयास से या भारत सरकार के प्रयास से, NGO के प्रयास से इंक्लूसिव एजुकेशन में कब तक हम लोग टारगेट को प्राप्त कर लेंगे सर?
टारगेट देखिए,
क्या बाधाएं हैं? बाधाएं क्या है इसमें?
बाधाएं देखिए, जैसे कि एक तो टीचर अगर कम है, जैसे बहुत सारे कॉलेजेस में एक नॉर्मल प्रॉब्लम है कि टीचर कम है, तो उनके लिए क्या प्रॉब्लम है कि इतना कॉपी चेक करना, इतना एग्जाम लेना, उसके बाद स्टूडेंट के ऊपर टाइम देना, ये बहुत प्रॉब्लम हो जाता है। बिकॉज यू नो दैट हम सब लोग जो है, हम लोगों का भी फैमिली है, तो कॉलेज में हम लोग क्लास लेते हैं, फिर लैब लेते हैं, और उसके बाद जैसे धीरे धीरे आप सीनियर होते जाओगे, तो यू विल बी सम काइंड ऑफ एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में आ जाओगे आप, हेड ऑफ द डिपार्टमेंट, डीन, ऑल दिस थिंग्स। तो उसमें स्टूडेंट के ऊपर फोकस करना थोड़ा डिफिकल्ट हो जाता है। तो इसलिए स्टूडेंट जितना ज्यादा टीचर रिक्रूट हो, मान के चलिए कोई टीचर जो बहुत अच्छे पढ़ाते थे, अभी वो रिटायर कर गए, तो उनके पोस्ट पे या वो जो वैकेंसी हुआ उसको फिलअप करने के लिए अगर 3-4 साल लग जाता है, तो उस सब्जेक्ट कौन पढ़ाएंगे? अनदर पॉइंट इज मे बी, कल भी मैंने बात किया था कि थोड़ा सा हो सकता है कि हम लोगों को री एंगेजमेंट जैसे बोलते हैं कि विजिटिंग प्रोफेसर के रूप में कुछ लोगों को रखा जाए, तो रिटायरमेंट के बाद मान के चलिए 1 या 2 साल, या जब तक उनका हेल्थ परमिट करे, क्योंकि स्टूडेंट वो तो 2 साल 3 साल 4 साल के लिए आया हुआ है, तो उसको अगर लर्निंग ठीक से नहीं होगा तो जॉब में उसको मुश्किल होगा जॉब प्राप्त करने में। तो जैसे कि बहुत लाखों स्टूडेंट इंजीनियर बन जाते हैं हर साल, कॉलेजेस है, लेकिन बहुत कम होते हैं जो एम्प्लॉयबल का मतलब क्या है कि ज्वाइन कर लिया, उसके बाद उसको कुछ मशीन चलाना है, तो उसका जो सुपरवाइजर है, वो सीनियर जो इंजीनियर है, वो उसको जो बोल रहा है वो सुन के समझ नहीं पा रहा है। तो ये इसके लिए कुछ डिस्कशन चाहिए। जैसे मान के चलिए प्राइमरी स्कूल में जैसे अभी, और स्कूल में भी अभी ज्यादा फोकस है मिड डे मील पे, ठीक है। तो मिड डे मील के लिए मुझे लगता है कि टीचर को इन्वॉल्व करना ठीक नहीं है, बिकॉज टीचर पढ़ाने से मतलब रखना चाहिए। वो कोई दूसरा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन हो जो समय पे आके खाना उपलब्ध कराए बच्चों को, दैट माइट बी वेरी गुड। बिकॉज अगर मुझे पढ़ाना है तो उसमें मैं ज्यादा फोकस करूंगा, और उसमें कैसे मैं अपना कोर्स मटेरियल को इम्प्रूव कर पाऊं, या मेरा कोई दोस्त तो दूसरे स्कूल में है, वो कैसे पढ़ा रहा है, कैसे कौन सी किताब से पढ़ा रहा है, कैसे नोट्स वो इंटरनेट से ले रहा है, सब कर रहा है, उसमें मेरा टाइम ज्यादा जाए तो स्टूडेंट के लिए भला है। तो ये तो इस ढंग से अगर देखा जाए तो मतलब मान के चलिए मिड डे मील पे ड्रॉप आउट रेट तो कम हुआ है, स्टूडेंट के लिए तो बहुत अच्छा है, लेकिन उसको मैनेजमेंट उसके लिए मे बी नॉन टीचिंग जो स्टाफ है उनको इंक्लूड किया जाए, उनको इन्वॉल्व किया जाए, ताकि टीचर अपना काम पे फोकस कर पाए। क्योंकि जब हम छोटे थे, मान के चलिए जैसे हम लोग 40-50 है या 45-50 के आसपास, ये सब यहाँ पे बहुत लोग जो टीचर लोग है, हम लोग जब स्कूल में थे, हो सकता है मिड डे मील उस समय नहीं था, तो टीचर जो पढ़ाते थे वो बहुत डेडिकेटेड हुआ करते थे। मतलब मुझे अभी भी याद है एक टीचर जो मतलब आप सोचिए संस्कृत एंड इंग्लिश दोनों में ही उनका इतना एक्सपर्टीज था कि इक्वली एफिशिएंट थे दोनों सब्जेक्ट में, जो हमको लगता है कि बहुत डिफिकल्ट काम है, लेकिन वो बस पढ़ाने में मतलब रखते थे और चाहे क्लास 9 हो 8 हो या थोड़ा ऊंचा क्लास में हो पढ़ाते थे। और उससे जो आपको क्या होता है, टीचर अगर अच्छा है तो क्या होता है, फर्स्ट लर्निंग होता है ना, कि अगर मान के चलिए मैं क्लास में a प्लस बी माइनस सी होल स्क्वायर पढ़ा रहा हूँ बच्चों को, और मुझे a प्लस बी होल स्क्वायर कैसे आता है उसको जानकारी ठीक से नहीं है, मैं थोड़ा सा देर कर रहा हूँ, कर नहीं पा रहा हूँ बोर्ड में, तो बच्चों को सीखने में अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है, देर हो रहा है और उसको मजा नहीं आ रहा है। तो अगर मैं अपने टीचिंग में बहुत अच्छी क्वालिटी में हम टीच कर पा रहे हैं बच्चों को, तो उसमें क्या फायदा होता है कि बच्चों को लर्निंग फर्स्ट होता है, वो एंजॉय करता है सब्जेक्ट को, और वो उसके बाद उसको थोड़ा सा हायर स्टडीज में इंटरेस्ट भी आता है। मतलब एक लड़का का मैं एग्जांपल ले सकता हूँ, उसका नाम आयुष झा, बिहार से ही है, नॉर्थ बिहार से। मेरे कोर्स में उसको थोड़ा अच्छा मार्क्स नहीं मिला, तो एक प्रोजेक्ट किया था थर्ड ईयर में, प्रोजेक्ट करने के बाद उसको हायर स्टडीज में, तो मेरे पास आया, बोले कि सर मैं यूएस में कुछ यूनिवर्सिटी में पीएचडी का अप्लाई करना चाहता हूँ, आप मुझे देंगे रिकमेंडेशन? मैंने बोला ठीक है दे दूंगा, तुम अप्लाई करो, बायोडाटा पठाओ, भेजो। तो मैंने क्या किया, उसको थोड़ा सा बढ़िया करके लिख के उसको रिकमेंडेशन दे दिया, और अमेरिका में एक यूनिवर्सिटी में उसको पूरा स्कॉलरशिप के साथ पीएचडी एडमिशन मिल गया। तो बात वही है कि अगर मतलब मैं अपना 100% दे रहा हूँ और स्टूडेंट उस समय उसको मैच्योरिटी नहीं है, वो उतना पढ़ा नहीं है, उसको मान के चलिए बी ग्रेड मिल गया, ए ग्रेड नहीं मिला, लेकिन उसको ये महसूस हुआ था कि ये टीचर जो है ये मदद करना चाहिए, इसलिए आदमी हमारे पास आया था कि सर आप देंगे हमको रिकमेंडेशन, तो मैंने दिया। अभी वो देखिए, अब वहाँ पे क्या है, अमेरिका में वहाँ पे लोग जान गए कि IIT BHU एक IIT है, वहाँ का स्टूडेंट अच्छे हैं, अच्छे काम कर रहे हैं, अच्छे पेपर पब्लिश कर रहे हैं, कॉन्फ्रेंस में अच्छे अपने रिजल्ट को प्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं, अवार्ड लेकर आ रहा है। तो इससे जैसे BHU 100 साल पुराना यूनिवर्सिटी है, तो रेपुटेशन ऐसी होता है कि हम लोगों को मेहनत करना चाहिए, लेकिन 100 200 300 बच्चे हैं तब तो बहुत डिफिकल्ट है। तो इसलिए टीचर रिक्रूटमेंट शुड बी वेरी फास्ट प्रोसेस, जो हर स्टेट गवर्नमेंट के एक बहुत बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है कि दे आर वेरी स्लो। तो उसमें क्वेश्चन पेपर लीक हो जाता है, बहुत सारा प्रॉब्लम होता है, पॉलिटिकल इशू आ जाता है। तो लेकिन हम लोग अपने लेवल पे क्या कर सकते हैं कि हायर मैनेजमेंट को रेगुलरली अपडेट करें कि सर विजिटिंग हायर करिए, किसी को हायर करिए, ताकि हम लोग ठीक से बच्चों को पढ़ा पाए। ओके, सो ये मेरा मानना है।
ओके सर, थैंक यू सर।
Okay. Any other person who has any doubt, because you have another lecture at 4:30, so कुछ एनर्जी बचा के रखना है। So if you have any other doubt, you can ask me, or otherwise I will just log out. So with this, I wish all the best.